Now, when you try stuff, you not only figure out things that you like to do, but most importantly, you understand the things that you do not like to do. And that after you get done watching this video, you take some time to fill in the blanks on what type of content you want to create for yourself or your clients. Welcome back to another episode of the Work and Play podcast. I'm your host, Arylle Young, and if you haven't watched any of the 100 and something episodes of the Work and Play podcast, that's okay, because today we get to start our relationship fresh and you get to understand how you can create valuable content for your business or for your clients. Now, over the past year and a half on the Work and Play podcast, I've talked to folks who are in corporate America or who are entrepreneurs that left corporate America or are on their journey from leaving corporate America and going into entrepreneurship. Now, here's the thing. I have enjoyed talking to over 100 entrepreneurs and corporate professionals on their reasons why they left corporate America, why they went back to corporate America, why they became entrepreneurs, and all of the different life situations that happened in between that journey. But I realized on my own journey, I have morphed into a different human being over 3 times. And that part has been really, really cool to see as I track my own content creation process. So for a lot of you guys, you might be wondering, like, how do I actually create authentic, quality content that resonates with my audience? Because if you found this channel, not only are you a content creator, but you are monetizing your content. So it's not enough to just create content and put it out there and just wait for something to stick, because you actually have a goal in mind. If you're an entrepreneur, that means you have ideal clients that you want to connect with, and you ultimately want them to know, like, and trust you so that they will be comfortable with patronizing you in the future. Whether you're a coach, consultant, product-based business, or service-based business, your content is ultimately what's going to help your client get really, really comfortable with patronizing you and buying from you over a long period of time. So it's really important for us to have this conversation now before social media gets even more and more carried away, so that you can create a framework that's sustainable, that will last no matter what platform you're on. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the fact that I never planned on being a content creator. I was a corporate professional in marketing, which I was really a data analyst, and the last thing you would catch me doing was using social media to really post myself. I use social media more to find funny memes and to laugh in the morning and to find myself drifting away from work on a daily basis. But eventually, as an entrepreneur, I would find, after quitting my job, after finding different gigs and then finding different entrepreneurial endeavors that crashed and burned, that content creation is something that I would be really, really good at, and repurposing content for other people to consume was something that I can now teach other people to do. So whether you like it or not, whether you know it or not, content creation is now the newest form of entrepreneurship. A lot of people are intentionally finding content creation and they're quitting their jobs to start their own YouTube channel. And then a lot of people like me are quitting their jobs to explore their values, and they find a career or profession that fits them and their personal values the best. So it's not a surprise that this episode of the Work and Play podcast, while it's about content creation, is about how we utilize our values to create valuable content. So in this episode, I really want to share with you 5 things you can do right now to create valuable, authentic, and quality content that resonates with your audience. So the number one question that a lot of people have when it comes to content creation is, do I have to create content that sticks to the trends that are happening these days? Now, here's the thing that I will tell you, whether it's for your personal brand, whether it's for your client's brand, or whether it's for a B2B brand, if you don't already know exactly where you want to go in your content, then the best thing for you to do is stick to a trend that is happening in the industry and stick to it until you actually find your own voice or find the voice of the organization. A lot of times we overthink this content creation thing, and even though someone else has done it a certain way, that doesn't mean that you can't create the same type of content, but for your specific audience. You may know the best methods in your industry because you learned them from your coach or your mentor, but your audience may have never heard that information, especially if they're not already connected to the people you're connected with. So it's really your responsibility to share that information that you've received with your audience in the way that you can describe it best, best so that they can learn from you. And the most important thing about sticking to a trend is that you are staying in pop culture. Content creation, whether you like it or not, is still entertainment, whether it's informational, whether it's edutainment. People are on social media to have fun. And so if a trend is already working, then you can utilize that same trend and repurpose it for your audience so that your audience could get the same value from someone they know, like, and trust. This next tip will help a lot of overthinkers from creating this process that just makes them stop in analysis paralysis. That is, do it for yourself until you can pay someone to help you do it with you. Now, as a content creator and as a solo entrepreneur, I started my content creation journey. I want to say the first 50 or 60 episodes of the Work and Play podcast were recorded and edited on my phone, both audio and video. If you're not in the place where you can invest in your content creation team just yet, you can do it all through the power of your phone, or if you have a camera, you can take that camera and put all of the editing software on your computer and do it yourself. There are systems on your phone like CapCut, like InShot, and even Canva that you can use on your phone or on your desktop to create any type of graphics or cuts and transitions that you want to put on your video that you can do from the power of your phone. But if you want to invest just a little bit of money and still do it for yourself, you can invest in Premiere Pro. This is all before you start to use systems to help you maintain your team, and then you start working with an editor, a graphics designer, an audio master, and then someone to actually help you with your social media. All of these different people you are going to become, and you can do it really well by yourself simply by investing in some of the smallest tools, starting with your phone. Now, this next tip is extremely personal to me because if it wasn't for my transition from corporate, going into gig work like Airbnbs, Turo, Uber, and even working as a fitness instructor, I would have never have explored different parts of myself to understand, what do I want to actually show on social media? For me, I literally did not show myself on social media until I became an entrepreneur. So immediately when I became an entrepreneur, I felt like I had to show up and say bye, 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 bye. But there was a more authentic way that I learned that I can create content based on who I was, and that was because I explored. So the best advice that I can tell you that you can do for your clients, you can empower yourself and anyone else around you who is creating content, is to encourage them to try stuff, or try SHIT. Now, when you try stuff, you not only figure out things that you like to do, but most importantly, you understand the things that you do not like to do, or the type of content you don't like to create. For myself, creating a reel, while those funny reels are really, really fun for me to create, and I typically get a lot of engagements, comments, and shares on them, it took a long time for me to create a reel in the beginning, simply because of the way that I wanted the voice to align and the transitions to work and all of the different technical details that it takes to create a reel. The very first time I created a reel, it took me 3 hours. And if you want to see it, I'm going to drop a link below so you can check it out on my old business page so that you can see that, listen, even myself had to learn how to create content, and I have to go through my own process of learning how to do it right and putting it out there no matter what it looked like. So if you don't try stuff, how will you know what works for you? And if you don't encourage your clients to try stuff, how will they know what actually resonates with their audience? There's no clear formula for every single brand. Your social media is individualized to you. So the more you start now, the sooner you start to try stuff, the better you'll be able to create content and curate a body of work that really speaks to who you are, what you offer, and what problems you solve. Now, the easiest thing to help with your content creation process is that you have a process. I'm a big process-oriented person, so I want to offer you one framework that can really help you create content that will last you the entire year. Here's a framework that I'm going to borrow from my career coaching that's going to help you in your content creation process. Now, the first thing I'm going to suggest is that you take a notebook and you write these things down, and that after you get done watching this video, you take some time to fill in the blanks on what type of content you want to create for yourself or your clients. So this framework that's really going to help you outline your content and show up, especially if you're a personal brand, is the 5 Fs. Now, the 5 Fs is something I typically would use if I'm in a coaching conversation with my clients, and I'm trying to help them understand, why do you want to leave your job and become an entrepreneur? What are the values that you're going to stand on when you become an entrepreneur, now that your life is no longer oriented around this corporate structure? So these 5 areas is something that you can create content around based on your life and your life alone. So listen, guys, there's only one thing that's stopping you from making consistent revenue on your podcast. And that's 1, because you haven't decided that your podcast is a business. But 2, you don't have an automated process that's going to get you consistent revenue on your podcast on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. So if you know you want to get revenue on your podcast, but you just haven't started making money yet, click the link below, learn about the Podcast Machine. It's a system that I created for my own podcast, and now I'm helping other clients do the exact same thing. So get into the Podcast Machine, get your podcast automated, and start making money on your podcast today. Now let's get back into the episode. The first F is faith. Second is fun. That's faith, fun, family, finances, and fitness. Now, if you don't have one of those F's, first of all, we have to have a conversation, because as an entrepreneur, a lot of us sacrifice. We have to take this quick deviation, because as entrepreneurs, we oftentimes sacrifice certain areas of our life so that we can attain this thing called success. And most of the time is monetary success. So we're thinking about, how do I make $1 million, which is the 1F, which is finance. But because we're searching for that $1 million, we forget about faith, fun, family, and our fitness. And I know you've seen a lot of millionaires that don't necessarily have the fitness in order. So we can have that conversation, but it's not right now. I just want you to know that it's important that we have a conversation about it soon. Now, when it comes to your content, I love to create mind maps. So if you're thinking about, what do I share on my social media? What do I actually want people to know versus what do I not want them to know? Now, one thing I suggest is, if you are a personal brand, then you can take each of these 5 F's and write one experience or one topic that you like to talk about in each of these areas as it relates to your industry. You may or may not choose to do all 5, but it gives you parts of your life that you want to explore on social media, and then you can also decide there are areas of your life that you don't want to share, and that's totally fine. Now, if you are a business brand, here's where things get fun. Now, let's say you are a wine business and you want to create content for your business to sell more bottles of wine. You can take the exact same 5F framework and create experiences that other people can utilize in their lives for your product. Now, if you're B2B, you can use the exact same 5F framework to create content that resonates with your audience. Let's say, for example, you're a fashion brand or you like to sell t-shirts and you want to figure out the best way to create content for your particular t-shirts. Now, let's take the 5F framework and see how it actually applies to you. First, you can take the faith bucket. How does someone actually live out their faith through your message? Or how does the t-shirt actually help them either believe in themselves or do something like go to church or something that is very dreamy or motivational in their own life? That is how you can take the faith bucket and create content for a t-shirt that resonates with your audience. Next is the fun bucket. You can create content with your t-shirts that is around fun activities or fun experiences that happen between a mother and a daughter, a father and a son, 2 friends that are going to a theme park. And this is fun. And you can actually put this in the fun bucket and create a whole bunch of content around your t-shirt, all for one purpose. You can do the exact same thing for finances, for fitness, and for family, all because you have a framework that says, okay, now I need to create these types of content for my specific product, but it allows you to hit different emotions no matter who is watching your content. So again, that's the 5-step framework that you can use right now, whether you are a personal brand or if you're B2B, that will keep your content fresh, authentic, and relevant for your clients and your audience. Now, on the Work and Play podcast, we got to bring it back home because I created this podcast specifically based on 2 values of my own. Now, I realized work and play have a completely different meaning now that I'm a 32-year-old woman. And when I was 27, I was thinking work and play. It was a completely different vision. I still have the same values of work and play at the same time, but it looks a lot different than I thought before. In my mind, I thought I would be in the beach or at the pool, hanging out with my friends with my laptop on my lap. But now that I'm getting older, I'm more so inclined to want a family and actually be around my boyfriend or my husband so that we can actually build a family together and make money at the same time. So work and play actually means something differently for me than it did before, and now it includes content creation. So my goal over the next year and a half and even beyond that is to continue to stay true to the work and play values and create content that reflects those things. So as you guys continue to watch the Work and Play podcast, I encourage you guys to let me know what you guys think and what values you're instilling in your own life and in your content that either generates revenue for you or your business. It's really important that we all stay true to who we are. So if you find something that doesn't necessarily feel right or you don't like the content that you've actually created, it's okay. You can put it out there anyway and continue to move forward because content is an evolutionary process. You can't feel afraid and hoard content because you don't want people to judge you. That's one of the values that I'm certainly living by, which is not giving up about what people think about my content, and you shouldn't either. So if you are a content creator, you're an influencer, you're a social media manager, and content somehow brings money into your bank account, I need you to let go of the self-doubt. I need you to let go of the thoughts of you saying it needs to be perfect and just put your content out there because you know someone needs it. So if these tips work for you, I created a really, really simple tool that you can use if you click the link below that's going to allow you to create content based on these tips that I've suggested. And you even have your own 5F framework that you can put in a Trello board and organize your content on a monthly, weekly, or even daily basis. So if that is something that you're interested in, click the link below so you can grab your free workspace and tell me how you like it in the comments below. The most important thing is that you have fun while you create content. This wouldn't be called the Work and Play podcast for nothing. So I need you to know that if the process becomes anything but fun, then you're doing it wrong, and you should be having fun every step of the way. So until next time, I thank you for listening and watching the Work and Play podcast, and I'll see you on the next episode very soon.